On June 11, 2025, the Qantas Group sent shockwaves through the Asian aviation industry with a single, unexpected announcement. Jetstar Asia, its Singapore-based budget airline and a familiar sight at Changi Airport, would be shutting down operations permanently. After 21 years of connecting travelers across Asia, the iconic orange and silver jets would soon disappear from the skies, with the final flight scheduled for July 31st. The decision was abrupt and final. There would be no last-minute rescue, no drawn-out speculation, just a sudden, definitive end for a carrier that once helped pioneer low-cost travel in the region. Qantas pointed to mounting financial pressures, unsustainable operating costs, airport fees that kept rising, and fierce competition from both regional and international airlines. The impact was immediate and deeply felt. Over 500 employees suddenly faced an uncertain future, while thousands of travelers scrambled to secure refunds or alternative flights, caught off guard by the news. 16 routes vanished overnight, disrupting travel plans across the region. Yet Changi Airport officials noted that most of these routes were already heavily served by other airlines, softening the blow for the airport itself. Jetstar Asia, once a trailblazer and market leader, had gradually become redundant in an increasingly crowded and competitive market, losing its edge as rivals multiplied. Its collapse is a stark reminder that in aviation, even well-established names can fall quickly when the market shifts and challenges mount. This is more than just a business failure. It's a story of ambition, fierce competition, and the relentless, unforgiving pace of change that defines the airline industry. In the chapters ahead, let's unravel how a budget airline giant lost its way and what its disappearance means for the future of air travel in Asia. To truly understand Jetstar Asia's fall, we first need to revisit its remarkable birth in 2004, a time when the aviation landscape in Asia was on the brink of transformation. Back then, Asia's middle class was booming, with millions of people eager to explore new destinations but held back by the high cost of flying. For decades, air travel had been a luxury reserved for the wealthy or business elite, but budget airlines like Ryanair and EasyJet in Europe had already shown that flying could be affordable for everyone, not just a privileged few. Inspired by this revolution, Jetstar Asia launched as a joint venture between Qantas and Singaporean investors, promising low fares, no frills, and a new way to travel. Suddenly, flying from Singapore to Bangkok or Kuala Lumpur was as cheap as a nice dinner out, something almost unimaginable just a few years earlier. The airline's stripped-down model, no free meals, no extras, just the basics, made air travel accessible to millions who had never flown before, opening up the skies to a whole new generation. Weekend getaways, spontaneous adventures, and family visits became possible for students, young professionals, and everyday people, changing the way Asia traveled. Alongside AirAsia, Jetstar Asia wasn't just selling tickets. It was selling a new kind of freedom, a chance to see the world without breaking the bank. Its aggressive marketing campaigns and rock-bottom fares sparked a travel revolution, making flying a part of everyday life for millions across the region. Budget airlines didn't just change how people traveled, they reshaped Southeast Asia itself, fueling tourism, creating jobs, and bringing countries closer together than ever before. Jetstar Asia was at the very heart of this movement, at the right place, at the right time, helping to redefine what it meant to fly in Asia. Jetstar Asia's early years were marked by rapid growth and bold moves. Its orange branding became synonymous with affordable travel, and its fleet expanded quickly. In 2005, it acquired rival Valuair, consolidating its position and expanding its network overnight. By 2010, Jetstar Asia and Tiger Airways dominated Singapore's budget market, holding a 27% share. The airline focused on short-haul routes, maximizing aircraft use and targeting popular destinations. Its operational efficiency and understanding of its audience made it a go-to choice for many. Backed by Qantas, Jetstar Asia seemed poised for even greater heights. Profitable and respected, it was a poster child for the low-cost boom. But beneath the surface, challenges were brewing. Few foresaw the turbulence ahead. Trouble hit Jetstar Asia around 2011, as global oil prices soared past $100 a barrel. This sudden spike in fuel costs was a significant blow to the airline industry. But for a low-cost carrier like Jetstar Asia, it was particularly devastating. For a low-cost carrier, fuel spikes were devastating. There was no margin to absorb the shock. The airline's business model relied heavily on keeping costs low and passing those savings on to customers. Profits plunged 80% in 2012, exposing the fragility of its business model. The financial strain was evident, and the airline had to make tough decisions to stay afloat. The airline couldn't raise fares without losing its price-sensitive customers. Any increase in ticket prices risked driving away the very passengers who chose Jetstar Asia for its affordability. Meanwhile, competition intensified as new players entered the market. The low-cost carrier space was becoming increasingly crowded, making it harder for Jetstar Asia to maintain its market share. The biggest threat came from home. Singapore Airlines launched Scoot, a well-funded, low-cost rival. Scoot's entry into the market was a game-changer, backed by the resources and reputation of Singapore Airlines. Scoot's wide-body jets and SIA's backing changed the game at Changi Airport. The new competitor had the advantage of larger aircraft and a strong financial foundation. Jetstar Asia now faced not just other LCCs but a powerful homegrown competitor. The landscape was shifting and the airline had to adapt quickly. AirAsia's regional expansion added more pressure. The Malaysian low-cost giant was rapidly growing its footprint in the region, further squeezing Jetstar Asia. The era of easy growth was over. Jetstar Asia was now fighting on multiple fronts. The competitive environment was more challenging than ever before. The market was crowded and survival was no longer guaranteed. Jetstar Asia had to navigate through a maze of challenges to stay relevant. The cracks in Jetstar Asia's foundation were widening. The airline's future was uncertain, and it was clear that significant changes were needed to weather the storm. After 2012, competition became brutal. Scoot merged with Tiger Air, creating a dominant, low-cost brand with a diverse fleet and broad network. AirAsia built a pan-Asian empire, leveraging multiple hubs and economies of scale. Jetstar Asia, limited to Singapore, couldn't match their reach or resources. On most routes, it faced direct competition from multiple airlines, sometimes 18 on a single route. Price wars drove fares down, eroding profitability for everyone. With just 13 aircraft by 2024, Jetstar Asia's scale disadvantage was glaring. Scoot's fleet was more than double in size, allowing lower costs and more flexibility. Jetstar Asia lacked a domestic market, relying solely on cutthroat international routes. Its small, aging fleet and high costs left it trapped. The vice of competition tightened year after year. Jetstar Asia was being squeezed out of the market. As rivals surged ahead, Qantas shifted focus back to Australia and New Zealand, sidelining Jetstar Asia. Ambitious plans for Asian expansion faded after the failed Jetstar Hong Kong project. Investment dried up. Jetstar Asia's growth stalled. While competitors expanded, Jetstar Asia's fleet and network stagnated. It couldn't upgrade to newer, more efficient aircraft, leaving it with higher operating costs. Market share plummeted from a peak in 2010 to just 6% at Changi by the pandemic. Passengers flocked to airlines with more destinations and better fares. Rising costs at Changi Airport, one of the world's most expensive, added to the pain. Increased airport and supplier fees squeezed margins further. Jetstar Asia warned of unsustainable costs, but relief never came. The airline was stuck, shrinking, outdated, and increasingly irrelevant. The gap with its competitors grew wider every year. The COVID-19 pandemic was the final blow. Singapore's border closure in March 2020 halted all of Jetstar Asia's international flights, its only business. With no domestic market, revenue vanished overnight. The airline grounded its fleet, laid off a quarter of its staff, and retired 5 aircraft. Recovery was slow. By 2023, only half of pre-pandemic capacity had returned. Rivals with domestic networks bounced back faster, regaining market share. Jetstar Asia's financial wounds were deep and lasting. By 2024, its Changi market share was just 3% and losses mounted. Years of grounded planes and lost revenue proved fatal. The pandemic exposed every weakness: small scale, no fallback, and high costs. Jetstar Asia never recovered. The end was now inevitable. By mid-2025, Qantas made the call. Jetstar Asia would close. The reasons were clear: unsustainable costs, fierce competition, and no path to profit. Over 500 jobs were lost and thousands of passengers faced cancellations. Qantas offered support for staff and refunds for travelers, but the impact was harsh. The airline's 13 aircraft would be redeployed to more profitable Jetstar operations in Australia and New Zealand. Qantas took a financial hit but stopped the bleeding from a failing venture. The closure marked Qantas's retreat from the Pan-Asian budget battle. Jetstar Asia's story ended, not with a rescue but with a strategic exit. Jetstar Asia's collapse is a lesson in the unforgiving world of budget aviation. Rivals like Scoot and AirAsia thrived through scale, innovation, and adaptability. Jetstar Asia, with no domestic market and a stagnant fleet, couldn't keep up. The pandemic exposed its vulnerabilities: total reliance on international routes and high costs. Stagnation proved fatal. In aviation, standing still means falling behind. Qantas's shift in focus left Jetstar Asia without the investment or vision to compete. The airline's early success helped democratize travel in Southeast Asia. But in this industry, past glory means little. Survival demands constant evolution. Jetstar Asia's fall is a warning: adapt or disappear. The Orange Star's disappearance is a stark reminder of aviation's brutal realities.